Alright, so today I'm going to be having a look at the races at Hong Kong this weekend. Obviously, it's a big Champions Day. They've got the QE2 Cup, Champions Sprint, and the Champions Mile. So, should be a really good day of racing. And I'll also talk about Morphettville at the end. Obviously, got the South Australian Oaks and the Robert Sangster for the fillies and mares over 1,200 metres. So yeah, good bit of racing around. Obviously, next weekend will be probably better with obviously 2,000 guineas and the Kentucky Derby. So yeah, lots of good racing coming up. But we'll start off on the Chairman's Sprint. Obviously 1,200 metres, Group 1. I actually really like Satono Reeve here. He's just a really good horse. Won in Japan last start. What am I saying? QEII Rising just wins here. 5 lengths, 6 lengths. He might even break the track record here. That'd be something cool to see break. I think it's like a minute 6 or something, minute 7, something like that. But yeah, QEII Rising will just win here. I think although I was half joking, but being serious, Satono Reeve is going very well. He won that race in Japan last start at Group 1, which is pretty big sprinting race over there. So he's coming here in really good form. And then you look at a few of these others like Fast Network and Helios Express. It's just these same characters that keep turning up to run second to QEII Rising. Like, to be honest, I don't understand why they didn't go to the Alquoz Sprint or some overseas sprint instead of just riding the coattails of QEII Rising. Like, I don't know if I understand that, but it is what it is. I guess they want to get their horses in Hong Kong. But even they could go up to a mile or something. Like, I look how it worked with Lucky Swainess. He's gotten a second win in his career by leaving the sprinting division and going up to a mile. So it's kind of a bit strange. And then if you look further down, you've got Comanche Brave, who is I don't know what to make of this because he's not an elite sprinter. He's good, but he's recently he's been running over 1,400 meters a mile. I think he ran in the Jersey Stakes at Royal Ascot last year, so they're trying to make him into a sprinter, but I'm not sure this is the right way to go about it. They should have gone for a Group 3 or a Group 2 in England, I think, instead of going to this race where QEII Rising is just going to give him windburn. So, strange bit of race planning there, but we'll continue. Obviously, the 2 Dubai trained horses, Native Approach and Andreas Vesalius, who was meant to run in the QE2 Cup, both got pulled in the last week, but so before they travelled, which is very weird. The only Dubai horses gonna go get pulled, which is very strange. I'm not gonna elaborate on it, but very weird. We'll continue. That's about it. QEII Rising will win. They'll probably give him a spell after this. And then they'll target an Everest in the spring. It's pretty clear cut. Right, the next one. The QE2 Cup. 2,000 metres. Group 1, obviously. The champ's back. Romantic Warrior. What a horse. I think that this is going to be his 4th time winning it if he does win. And he's already won 4 Hong Kong Cups. So you're just one of the best horses to ever exist. I think he holds more value than horses like City of Troy, Flightline, those horses that, retired after their 3-year-old season. And then, a horse like this just keeps going and winning, at the top level for years on end. Those horses, to me, are the goats of the sport rather than, Flightline. Arguably Frankel, although he was, obviously Frankel's very good, but he was done after a 4-year-old, I think. So, this is a good race. Romantic Warrior will probably win. But there's 2, proper horses here. First one's Masquerade Ball. He was last seen running second to Calandian in the Japan Cup. So he's holding some really, really strong form going here. Although he's back to 2,000 metres. Might be a bit on the sharp side. I believe with this horse they're targeting a European campaign. They're going to go to the King George at Ascot at the end of July. So I think 1.5 miles is sort of more his distance. However, he will make it interesting as before the Japan Cup. I think he came second to Croix de Nord in that 10. I think it's the Tenno Show Autumn. It's like a 2,000 meter Group 1 contest. So this horse is really emerging. And I believe Christophe Lemaire said on Nick Luck's podcast the other day that this could be like one of the best horses to come out of Japan. So, and that's quite a reputable source to hear that from. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can, challenge Romantic Warrior. We've got Sosi in this race as well, who won the Hong Kong Vase very well. And also, I think he placed in the Arc, or kind of like fourth or something. I know he was thereabouts, but, he's an elite middle distance horse, but same as Masquerade Ball, I think he's better suited over a mile and a half. And I think back to Masquerade Ball, I think he was meant to run in the Shima Classic, but obviously the whole war thing turned him away from there, and he went to this race instead. So yeah, Sosi's very good, but I think more of a mile and a half horse. Although he likes Hong Kong, doesn't he? He won the Vase, so he could stir up a bit of a challenge to Romantic Warrior. And then there's a few others here. I mean, there's Royal Champion, who was last seen winning the I think it's called, I forget the name of the race. It's a new Group 1 run on Saudi Cup night. I think it's like the Saudi Turf Cup or something. He won there very emphatically, and I believe Sheen Murphy's going to fly out to ride him here as well. But also he's 8 years old. I get Romantic Warrior's 8 years old too, but it's different. It's just different. It is. Royal Champion's been all over the world. He's running in Australia, Canada, Middle East. Now he's running here in Hong Kong. He might run a good race, but I think this is out of his depth. I also don't think that race in Saudi was that strong either. So I think it'll be a tough hill to climb for Royal Champion here. And then the rest of the field, there's Giovanni, who I haven't really looked into. I just looked at Masquerade Ball, who I was already pretty familiar with. And then there's a few of these others that are coming out of just those Hong Kong form lines, like Numbers, who is an ex-Australian horse. I think his Australian name was King of Thunder. Was trained by John O'Shea. So yeah, he's having a crack here. And yeah, it should be interesting. I think this is Romantic Warrior's hardest race since maybe Saudi, I reckon, because in that Hong Kong Cup it kind of fell away a little bit. So I think this is definitely his toughest race in over a year. So it'll be very interesting to see how he goes. Whether that age is catching up with him. Although I do think he's aging like a fine wine. Like he just has looked so good in his last few starts. Oh fucking hell! All right, we'll move on. Champions Mile, Group 1. Jantar Mantar's the favourite here, and I think that's pretty rightful. He's coming off a win in the Mile Championship at Kyoto last November, so he's got a massive... he's won a few Group 1s over a mile. He's a really elite miler, one of the best in the world. Although I think he can be a bit of a head case when he's... that's why they haven't travelled him much, because I think he can be a bit highly strung. I think the initial plan was to head to the Dubai Turf with him, but obviously, with the war, they've gone here instead. I think he's the rightful favourite. He is a machine. I'd imagine Yuga Kawada will ride him. So I think he's going to be hard to beat. I'll probably have a bet on him, to be honest. I think the other two races I'll leave alone. But I think Jantar Mantar's, pretty clearly the best horse here. Voyage Bubble's there as well. He's getting a bit older. I think he was last seen running behind Romantic Warrior, and he ran quite badly. So I'm not really sure how a drop down to a mile is gonna suit him that well. But he's one of the better horses in Hong Kong. He has been for a while. He could run a big race. It's cool to see Docklands running here as well. I think he won't be anywhere near good enough, but it's cool seeing these horses travel all over the world. He was, I think he's running the Cox Plate. He's run pretty much everywhere, this horse. So cool to see them having a throw at the stumps in the Champions Mile. Lucky Swainess, bit of an old horse, 7 years old, but he's come into form, hasn't he? As I said before, he's left that sprinting division, and now he's having a crack at a mile, and he seems to be doing pretty well. I think he won last start, so yeah, he could add an interesting dimension to the race. Now the other horse I quite like in this race, but he's not exactly like punter's favourite horse, is My Wish. He's just been a bit shit lately, hasn't he? I don't know. in the Hong Kong Mile and the race before, like he was a really short price favourite. Not the mile, but the that race in November that they run in over a mile. He was a short price favourite and he cooked it. But I think he's an interesting horse. I think he's 5 years old. This is, his physical prime. He's a bit small, to be honest, but I think he's a good horse. I think, I don't know who's going to ride him because I saw, I think his name's Lyle Ferraris. That's his old jockey. Wasn't on him last start, or the start before, something like that. So if he gets a good draw and, a good jockey, I'd probably have a little bet on My Wish, I think. And then if you look further down, Strauss obviously won that inaugural Abu Dhabi Gold Cup over a mile. So that was a good win, but not a very strong race. But he's a pretty good horse. I think he ran. I think he ran in Sydney in the spring. So he's well travelled. He's ran in some good races, but I think this might be too hard for him. And then there's a few others here like Cap Ferrat, who's he's been going alright. And some of these horses that have come out of the Hong Kong Derby, like Invincible Ibis, Little Paradise. There's a few interesting horses here. I just remember Little Paradise 2 starts back in the Hong Kong. I think it's like the Hong Kong Classic Cup. I don't know. I get all these bloody Hong Kong races a bit confused, but he missed the start or some shit. I don't know. But I think for this race, and there's Red Lions here. I think he won it last year or the year before. He won at a massive price 1 year and rolled Voyage Bubble. So yeah, I think the two here that I like are Jantar Mantar and My Wish. I think this is the most competitive race on the card by a very long way. So yeah, it should be very interesting. All right, we'll just quickly talk about Morphettville on Saturday. Obviously, 2 Group 1s there. We'll start off in the Chairman Stakes, 2,000 metres for the 3-year-olds. So these are horses that might not have been good enough for an Australian Derby or those sorts of races. I'm trying to think of a race in Melbourne. I can't think of it though. There's like a 2,000 metre race. The Alistair Clark, that's right. Like those sorts of horses that might not have been good enough or might not have been ready, might have had an injury or something. So they're coming here. Obviously, Autumn Mystery won in the spring, but it's kind of an average race to be honest. But I like Mcwoody. Daniel Stackhouse on board. He rode it last start. Won a listed race at Morphettville over a similar distance, 1,800 metres. So he should get the trip, and he'll go sort of back midfield. So I think he should just come flying home. And I think Mcwoody's a good chance in that race. All right, the next one I want to talk about is the Tobin Bronze Stakes, 1,200 metres, Group 2, for the 3-year-olds. This is a really good race, actually. Some good horses here. You got Alpha Sophie, Rosberg, who was kind of, a bit plain last start, wasn't he? Lots of hype behind him, but, didn't really do much, and now he comes here. The horses I like in this race are Tycoon Star. Okay, so this is if the track's a little bit soft, because I feel like the jury's a bit out on them on a good track. They've done their best work with a bit of give in the ground. So I like Tycoon Star with J-Mac on board. Obviously a massive bonus. And then Signature Scent, who's, big price. Craig Williams booked, ran third last start in a race at Morphettville. I think, it might be a bit below this level, but I feel like $27 is probably a good price for Signature Scent. And then Tycoon Star, as I mentioned earlier, comes from the same form line as Signature Scent and has J-Mac on board. Although, see what I mean? Like its best work has come over on a wet track. So, jury's a bit out, I think. But they're the two that I fancy in that race anyways. Right, move on to the Group 1s now. The Australasian Oaks. Good contest. I think, I feel like this meeting is just a bunch of horses that weren't really peaking during the autumn. And now they're coming here trying to get some black type. Start off with Strictly Business, won the Oaks last year and promised the world. And she hasn't really done that so far. So it'll be interesting to see how she bounces back. Get a Good Feeling is the favourite, although I kind of think Salty Pearl should be the favourite. The only issue with her is that she's been up for a long time. This is her sixth start, this prep, so there is that problem. But I think that's a bit of a myth, to be honest. Like, it just means they're like more battle hardened and they're really fit. Like, I think that's, unless it's glaringly obvious, but I think 5 starts, it's not too bad. If it was like something ridiculous, like 8 starts or something, then yeah, I'd probably have a problem with it. But yeah, I like Salty Pearl in this. I think she's going very well. Obviously looked like the winner in the Vinery for a long way, but got beat by some proper stayers. But I think she's going really well. I think she's kind of overdue for a Group 1. She's been thereabouts. Get a good feeling as the favourite. She was a really short price favourite in the Victorian Oaks last year, and didn't stay at all. But she comes here. I think 2,000 meters is good for her. I think she won the Wakeful Stakes, which was obviously 2,000 meters. So I think she's going really well, and she will have developed since her early 3-year-old days. So I think 2,000 meters will be fine. Billy Egan stays on board. I think she'll go really well, but I think Salty Pearl is a bit more battle tested, and arguably she should have won last time. So yeah, I think Salty Pearl's the one. Then you've got a horse like Panova who's come here. It's kind of like the logical option, isn't it? I think she came 7th in I think it was the Vinery. Yeah, I thought it was the Roseville Guineas for a sec, but it was the Vinery. Obviously Waller and J-Mac is unbeatable, but I don't think she's going that well, so it's kind of not great. And then you got a few others here, just a few sort of stayers, I guess. Bonus Sforza's come over from New Zealand, which is kind of interesting. Good luck to them. Although, yeah, 2,000 metres might test it out. Although, to be fair, that's the same setup that Belcheval, came from, won over a mile. Actually, no, I think she came second to Well Written, and that was over 1,500 metres, and then wins over 2,000 metres. So I kind of get the setup with this sort of horse. But I don't think she's as good as, a horse like Belcheval. So, Salty Pearl is the one I like in the Australasian Oaks. Right, we'll move on to the last race, the Robert Sangster, Group 1 for the fillies and mares. A solid race, to be fair. Although I had a look earlier and I can't understand this horse, Ahaha. It won so well in that Matron Stakes, and then they've dropped it back to friggin' 1,200 metres here. I can't really understand that. They should have gone to that Queen of the South Stakes, which is a few races earlier, Group 2 over a mile. They should have gone there. But yeah, whatever. I'm not a I'm not a racing manager or a trainer, so I don't really know. But yeah, Point Barrow, obviously, fucking hell, that's so short. 480 for that horse. Barrier 16. Leave me out of that. Far out. But yeah, some good horses here. Stretton Angel, very hit or miss. Although she seems to be going alright at the moment, obviously, placed last start. She'll need a fair bit of luck if she's going to win. But the horse I like, Generosity, pretty simple, to be honest. Barrier 1, Waller J-Mac, won the Challenge Stakes 2 starts back, which is, it's a good race. We've seen good horses win that in the past, like Eduardo. Pretty sure Nature Strip would have won one of them, I guess. So good horses win the Challenge Stakes. 5th in the Galaxy on a soft track. Although she does go well on the soft. Handicaps are fucking weird races. So I think Generosity is a really good price at $7. I thought she'd be like $4, to be honest. So I think that's a good price. Charmstone is preparing for a Royal Ascot campaign, so she'll run here and go straight there, I'd imagine, because she's a beast when she's fresh. So yeah, good race. I think Generosity is the clear pick for me. But yeah, it should be a good weekend. Obviously, a bit sad that the autumn's over, but we've got these Group 1s in South Australia, and then Hong Kong on Sunday to look forward to. So if you like this sort of content, like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you later.